The best banners in Dokkan history are on their way, but who will be on the 11th anniversary Part 2 banners? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We are just 4 days away from the start of Dokkan's 11th anniversary Part 2 celebration with the release of the Tag UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta and the Tag Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. And in this video, we're going to break down who exactly we can expect to be on the Part 2 contenders, because while Dokkan is nothing but predictable, there are a few changes we should be aware of for what's coming. This will also help you to prepare in case you need to grind out some medals. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, in order to take a look at who is going to be on the banner, we simply need to look at, right, the Part 1 banners. That's going to tell us exactly who is going to be on there. So if we take a look at the Dokkan side of things, right, we can tell that there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 featured units on the banner, with 6 characters awakening into LR, which is a lower normal number than normal, but that is because they squeezed in a bunch of TURs this year, like they don't normally do. But because of that, we also have to assume the Part 2 will be the same as well, which means we won't have the typical returning LRs that we had previously. We can also look at the Legendary Summon Carnival for the Vegeta. We see that once again there are 10 featured LRs, and again, out of them, 7 on the LR featured can be awakened. So we also have to assume that the Carnival LR banner will also be the same for Part 2. And for most of the LRs, it's going to be pretty consistent, with their opposites being who we see on the Part 2, right? So if we were to look at the DFE banner, for example, this is what we should expect, right? The main returning LRs complementing their Part 1 returning. So we're going to have the new Goku and Vegeta, right, as the primary featured unit on the Dokkan Fest banner, right? We do know that they are the Dokkan Fest based on the live stream, and also they leaked the UI medals, which are in fact, based on previous medals, so we can verify that he is in fact a Carnival LR. So these guys are the Dokkan Fest, right? We know there will be a banner unit. Who's to say it could be a GT Heroes character to match how Part 1 had a Diamond character, or it could be somebody related to Tournament of Power. Honestly, they probably needed that banner unit a little bit more, whoever that's going to be. Doesn't really matter. Whoever it is will likely support one of the Part 2 LRs. More than likely these guys, though. But we'll see, right? Doesn't really matter who it is, right? Now, as far as the returning units go, since the Part 1 featured the Blue Goku, we can assume that the Part 2 will return Omega Shenron. Since Part 1 had Vegito, we can assume Gogeta. Beast Gohan, assume Broly, and then the Broly trio, the Broly movie trio, and then of course the 8th anniversary opposite LR. All of that lines up with the LRs that are featured on Part 1's banner, right? Makes sense. Now, here's where things get a little tricky about who we can expect to return. So, we do have one possibility returning of the Tech Daima Mini Goku, alright? Now, I do believe he is almost 99% guaranteed to be back on this banner, and that is because of the phrasing they used here on this 11th anniversary countdown summon banner. If you guys remember this, right, during the countdown campaign, they released this, and it was here that they told us that they, on the Part 1 banners, on the 28th, they would be returning the 3 mini characters plus Glorio, right? Or the 2 mini characters plus Glorio. So Vegeta, Daima Goku, and Glorio. And then we, in fact, did see that on the Daima banner here. Now, the other interesting note here is that Reign of the New Supreme Demon King, Third Eye Goma, and Power, the Awakening New Power, Super Saiyan 4 Goku Mini will be available in some events that are scheduled to become in the near future. Now, this very likely means that he will, in fact, be returning on the banner here, because they very likely, if it was beyond the anniversary, I doubt they would have mentioned his return, right? Because outside of His next return, he was the November Dokkan Fest, so Baby still has to return before him. So his next return is likely not until April, more than likely. So we won't, I don't think that they would mention it now for that to be his return. So it's very likely that he's probably going to return right here on this banner, according to that. So what does that leave us with? Well, that leaves us with one open space on this Dokkan Fest banner here, because we should have 10 featured LRs, right? Or 10 featured characters, rather. Or I'm sorry, 2 open spaces, rather, because we should have 10 featured, right? So we get the main unit, the banner unit, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so that's 2 featured units. Now, we are going to have to assume that they are TURs based on the Part 1 banners, because there's no one else to complement the other characters based on the previous return. So I think it's pretty safe to assume that these guys are going to be here. So I think it will be one of these 5, or 2 of these 5 characters, rather. I think the very likely scenario is going to... The 2 most likely scenarios are either the ROF Blues or the Angel Golden Frieza. Both of these would be coinciding EZAs to the Carnival LR, which is the UI Goku and Full Evolution Vegeta. There are several different missions that there are several different missions in game that hint at one of the leader skills likely being Realm of Gods, and so that's why I think ROF Blues do have a chance of being there, as well as Golden Frieza. Right, this is a Tournament of Power LR that we will be getting alongside these guys, and I mean he's long overdue for it. So it's also possible that they could drop him, right, these 2 in the last 2 slots. Now, the final 4 here are suspected super EZAs. I don't think likely. In fact, I think the most likely, if any, is probably the Int Vegeta here, because not only would he fit the Realm of Gods category for the Part 2 LRs, he also fits the Vegeta's Family category for the Part 1 Dokkan Fest. Or, not Dokkan Fest, I'm sorry, Carnival, right? The Vegeta's Family. So he fits that. Now, the other possibility is like a super EZA for the AGL Vegeta Blue, and the Int UI Goku. This is a long shot, but it's possible. We do know that this guy receives random, 10th anniversary equips at last year when GT Goku got his and his EZA, along with a few other super EZAs. So it's possible this dude could see a super EZA. And it's worth noting that this guy is also on All Out Struggle, which is also a likely led category by these guys themselves, as there are several missions related to it within the data download coming up. So it's possible there. Same goes for this guy here. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is a long shot. I don't think it's going to happen. I think GT Heroes has pretty much exhausted all of its options for the current moment, but you never know. They might just toss him in there, or they might toss the N1 on there just to fill out some characters to help you out with GT Heroes. I don't think it's likely, but it's entirely possible. Just throwing that out there. So this is what I expect the Dokkan Fest banner to look like, based on the Part 1 banner. So good options here, right? Obviously, we're mostly concerned with the returning LRs, then, of course, possible Year 8 EZAs. So looking good so far. So that brings us to the Carnival banners, right? Now, this one's going to be a little bit tricky to predict, because while for the most part, the returning LRs are pretty much guaranteed, it's the excess that don't really make a lot of sense. So first up, right, we know we will have the Carnival UI Goku on there on Blue Evolution Vegeta. We also know, based on the Part 1 banners, that, right, since Frieza was the only 10th anniversary LR on there, and the others were all added to that Goku and Vegeta family banner, except for Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think it's pretty fair to assume that he will be on this banner as well, as he would be the only other Carnival returning 10th anniversary character. For the next character to return, we have the AGL Gogeta to complement the Rose Carnival, who returned in Part 1. And then, of course, since we had the Gammas and Beast in Part 1, of course, Broly and Gogeta will be in Part 2. We'll have Family Kamehameha Gohan on the part 2 as well to complement his opposite Tech Broly who was there. And then this one is strange, right? Because their Dokkan Fest counterparts were not in this celebration, but their Carnival counterparts was, right? Gohan had Fizz Trunks' Carnival counterpart in the part 1 celebration, but I think that's mostly due to him being on Vegeta's family. So it's possible that this could be a different LR, but we're just going to assume that they're keeping it consistent, and he'll just be the opposite. Now, the last character here known is the Goma, and it's exactly for the same reason that we know Mini Goku, right? It is mentioned right here in the news for that banner that he would return sometime soon. And the next available Carnival coin, or not Carnival coin, Yellow coin banner will also be in April. So very likely to assume that they were referring to this banner here. So for the Carnival banner, we can assume Goma. Now that leaves, right, if we assume that we're having the same amount of awakenable characters, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 awakenable LRs, just like the part 1, we have to assume the remaining 3 are TURs. And they're going to be probably returning banner unit TURs. I think since they returned Daima Piccolo on the first one, obviously to relate to this guy, there is a chance that they could bring this guy here, the 17, as he would be on Reps of Universe 7, but he doesn't support Reps of Universe 7. He supports Defenders of Justice and it doesn't, and Android. Well, actually, he doesn't even support Defenders of Justice. He just supports Android. So, I mean, it's possible they put him on there just because he's a recent banner unit, but I don't know. I think it's unlikely. I do think, however, we might see these guys in here and the GT duos in here, mainly because these guys support both of the categories that we would find the new LRs on. And I think there's a strong indicator that they could get a sub EZA during this, especially these ones here, because these guys support both Vegeta and Goku's family. And they did happen to mention they're going to buff Vegeta and Goku's family during this celebration, so it could be that. They could also be just random Goku's family support type units, right? Since part 1's banner, right, the random units here were all Vegeta's family units. So possible, we'll see. Again, 3 open spots there that they can work with. It could be anything. We're not really concerned with them. We are, of course, concerned with the returning LRs. So this was basically my best guess based on everything we know, based on the categories likely to be for the category banners and the units they're on. It's the anniversary. It's probably one of the most predictable set of banners we're ever going to have, right? It's really just those minor 1 or 2 differences that we're really trying to figure out here. Now, I will throw one last curveball here, and that it's a long shot, but like I said, there is some leeway with the Dokkan Fest banner, and they could just up it so both of these have 7 LRs and adding another LR to the Dokkan Fest banner. And if they do, I think there's a strong argument to say that Int Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Goku could be added onto the banner. He is in line for an EZA this now that we've entered year 8, and they have already EZA'd the year 8 LRs. I mean, GT Heroes, China Power is never going to be in a better position than it is currently right now. So, I mean, there's a strong possibility just to give GT Heroes a little something from this anniversary outside of a sub EZA that they could toss this guy onto the banner and eat. It's a long shot. There really isn't many other options. And, you know, it's pretty much that or nothing until this guy EZAs whenever that happens for them outside of sub EZA. Although the same is true for Tournament of Power cards with the UI Goku, but we'll see. Like I said, this is just a long shot. So, guys, that is it for our video. That is our banner predictions for who should be on the part 2 banners. If you guys like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know All right, who do you think will return on the banners, right? Especially in terms of EZAs, right? When I looked through the categories of characters for the EZAs, these are the ones who were most likely to come up. In fact, right, this guy here has the most crossover of the known categories, so I think there's a strong possibility he could be a super EZA, but we'll see. But let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.